tossers have thrown it out the door with their behaviour this week. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should absolutely look at themselves in the mirror and wonder what the have they been doing. They're hissing at us and calling us cheats in the Lord's long room, and they have the gall to say, talk to us about the spirit of cricket. Absolute bullshit.
There's a big appeal, it's hit him on the pad, he's out! Lions gone, New South Wales are 9 down! Onto Sydney Road, and it's hit a car! Oh, I think it's hit a car! What a way to bring up your 50!
All you want is to leave it all behind. Now there is a simple remedy to stay fit for all eternity.
Well, the world just looks a little brighter and a little better the day after an Ashes Test victory for Australia. Welcome back to the Cricket Unfiltered podcast. I'm Manners, and joining me after a couple of weeks' absence is Gav Joshi. Gav, what a performance by the Aussies over the weekend.
A fantastic performance. I mean, Australia, as good as they were, but I know there's a Mad Menace segment, but it's Mad Gav segment. I'm just... I just can't. How could it be? I know Australia's been very good, but dear me, the English. I mean, why do we have a 5-test series against them? We just yeah. Why? Like, can we just have a 3-test series and invite New Zealand for 2? Like, at least there's a bit of a build up and see how they go. Or even the West Indies, even they managed to beat Australia. But these guys, I mean, West Indies, can you think? West Indies, let's get this into our mind. West Indies has beaten Australia on our soil in the last 25 years. England have not beaten Australia on Australian soil for 15 years. I mean, even the thing is, man, is like everyone was so looking forward to this series. The public, the media, everyone, from different age groups. A 10-year-old to old grandma, granddad who would have seen, I don't know, maybe even snippets of Don Bradman. But this is embarrassing. I mean, seriously, Cricket Australia, we spent so much money in saying, yeah, welcome, let's bring England over, let's create, great. Look, it is great for our economy. Don't deny that. Having 40,000 Poms, and they're probably drinking more from our pubs, to get over their misery. But it's just terrible. Like 6 days, we had 6 days of the Ashes. I mean, I doubt we're going day 5 in Adelaide. So pretty much like within 9 days, the Ashes might be over. Like we knew we knew the result of Brisbane after day 2. Like we knew it. Perth finished in day 2. We'll probably know the result in Adelaide by the end opening day or day 2. So it's just shocking. It's bothering me. I mean, yes, I want Australia to do well and win and so forth, but can we have some competition? I mean, some of the mistakes that the English people, players are making are just, and given they've
amateur hour.
Yeah, amateur, but it's like they've spent the last 3 years focusing on this. They've restructured English cricket. And what's the result? You're still getting spanked.
Yeah, no, it's embarrassing. And, I like your call about them playing 3 tests. I jokingly wrote that once at News Corp as a column that England don't deserve 5 tests here. And
they don't.
Actually, you're right. They don't deserve 5 tests. And you look at what India's done in the last few tours, where, I mean, they won a couple of tours, but also last tour they were competitive all the way. But the good thing is, though...
Yeah, go on.
The good thing is, though, it is fun watching England lose 4 or 5. Like, that's the only thing that it's just nice watching the Poms suffer. It's nice watching them go through misery. It's nice watching them be embarrassed. It's nice watching them be humiliated. That's satisfying in itself. Like, a close series is satisfying in another way. This is satisfying in, like, it feeds your soul watching them just come to Australia and just absolutely implode.
Well, I went on to a couple of the English newspapers, and I actually listened to a good podcast about the draw for the Soccer World Cup. That was the best thing because my interest is actually as a cricket lover, like it's just it's just terrible. Like and let's not forget, cricket is falling behind, behind this other sporting codes in this country, right? The ratings for NRL and so forth, their seasons are getting longer, cricket seasons getting shorter. This doesn't help. This does not help.
Well, the ratings have been through the roof. I have to say, though, your argument's not supported by facts. I mean, the ratings have been record breaking, and I do think there is I do think that whatever happens, this will be a successful summer because, as I said, there's a lot of sport in watching England just get destroyed. But they've been pathetic. I mean, more broadly, they've been pathetic. It's embarrassing for their team. It's embarrassing for Stokes, and they're starting to turn on each other now. I think Broad and McCullum had a little exchange afterwards in an interview where Broad said, inferred that Joffre wasn't putting in for all his spelled, and McCullum said, I had to have that little chat with you sometimes. Stokes called his team weak, that you can't be weak at certain moments. So Stokes and this team, they could absolutely blow up in front of our faces. I mean, they fielded badly, they've batted badly, they've bowled terribly. You said this in the lead up that their bowling was shit, and that has played out. They have bowled terribly.
Yeah, but look, the person who I'll tell you who I've been the most disappointed with is Harry Brook. Ollie Pope averages 35. He's played those reckless shots, doesn't have the flair, doesn't have the talent. He's not noted as a once-in-a-generational cricketer. That's fine. He's been forced to bat at number 3, which is not his position. All those things are against you. And look, to be honest, people are having a go at Ollie Pope, but that's Ollie Pope's game for the last, 7 or 8 years. He's been in English setup, even under Bazball. He scores those 35s. That's all he does. But Harry Brook is termed as the next Joe Root. He's a combination of, boycott and the flamboyance of Kevin Peterson. You can have everything, Menas, but I've never seen, and we've seen some great talents come to Australian shores over the last 20. I don't think I've seen someone who's so situationally unaware of where the game is at than Harry Brook. Pathetic. I mean, okay, first test match he's forgotten, but the shot he played in the first innings, I was talking to a couple of English people, and they said, oh, this might be a good score. And I said, yeah, but it seems like a 400 pitch. And Harry Brook has come out, and you just look at the situation. It was the first ball from Mitchell Starc, and he's gone, and you can tell Smith has saved him. This is, you and I who are, yes, we might call ourselves cricket nuffies we are journalists and we do get to see these players up and close. But we could see, like, okay, this as a person sitting on the couch, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be good. This is the exchange. If I'm Harry Brook, I need to get through. Maybe hit a couple of boundaries, but I need to get through this because Stark's probably going to bowl 3 overs. He doesn't have that. And he has been the biggest disappointment. And look, last year, Kohli kept getting out the same way. That's a technical issue, right? But this is just terrible. It's just, how could you be the vice captain?
No, you're right, and the whole English team has been embarrassing. I talked about their bowling. Brydon Cast was bowling absolute pies. Jofra Archer has been so inconsistent.
You know how the WBBL match was called off because the ball went under the roller because it created a ditch. Do you think that ball created a bigger ditch, or Brydon Cast bowling in the middle of the Gabba pitch?
I know, it's just terrible. And Australia have been much smarter in this game. I mean, this second test match was a real team effort. Obviously, in the first test match, they just got Travis headed in that final afternoon. But this was a great, gutsy, all-round team effort. They took the big call to play Michael Neser, and he was heroic, got 5 wickets, also batted pretty well, extended the Australian innings. But also, you talk about game awareness. Australia was so smart in this game. They took time time out of the game when it was needed. They attacked the new ball early, then they paced their innings beautifully, and everyone contributed. And then you add to that, there wasn't just one superb bit of fielding. There were probably 5 classic catches, Marnus, Carey twice, Smith's catch. I mean, do you think that's up there with Smith's best ever slips catch?
Probably the second best. I think he took one of KL Rahul in Bangalore, which I was fortunate. I didn't see this one live. I wasn't at the ground, but watching that one on live, I think that's Steve Smith's greatest catch. But you know what? Can you give a man of the match for just wicket keeping? Because I know I thought Ian Healy is the best keeper that I've seen. I didn't see any before that. But geez, Alex Carey deserved the man of the match just because the way he kept. Someone's bowling 135, 138 clicks an hour. He was up to the stumps, and they even bowled a couple of bounces. It's the best glove work I've seen from an Australian or any keeper against pace bowling, and that too at the Gabba. It wasn't at slow, low Sydney Cricket Central or the SCG. It was at the Gabba. It's one of the best performances. I think Alex Carey should have been given the man of the match. He was that influential in that Test match.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Stokes catch was brilliant. He made it look so easy.
And no, let's not forget, Carey coming up to the stumps changes that. So this is how it works. Zach Crawley, Ben Stokes, Harry Brook, even Joe Root. The team discussion would be, okay, how do we tackle Michael Neser? How do we tackle Scott Boland? Well, you know what? Let's park ourselves 2 meters in front of the crease. Take the LBW out of play. Let's do that. That's how Marnus does it. That's how Steve Smith can do it. That's how some of the Australian players do it. Well, okay. Well, then the key, and because you don't expect the keeper to stand up at 135, 140 clicks an hour, but Carey does. He does it successfully. Then what's your answer? It makes the others, the team think again. And that's why it's had a huge bearing on how the English batters have had to play and had to change their game plan. And that's why I think Alex Carey should be given the man of the match.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one to take it away from Starkey, but
yeah.
6 wickets, top
score. You know where I'm coming from, though. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you could give 2, Carey definitely get it. I mean, that was just an incredible performance from him. It runs with the bat. The first innings catch where he ran behind towards the boundary and almost got tackled by Marnus was incredible. And so Australia have done so much right. Gutsy selection, a selection that not a lot of people agreed with, but Michael Neser, broke the game open. The balance of the side may have been off, but Australia bowled so well. I mean, yesterday when England actually kept us out there, again, that was a lesson in Test cricket. Australia didn't panic. They didn't start switching to 5 different plans. There was no ADHD Ben Stokes out there. Instead, all they did was they were patient. They kept bowling well. They never let England get away. They hardly bowled a bad ball all day yesterday. And then it took that phenomenal catch from Smith to get rid of Jacks. But, it was just a lesson in Test cricket. And, following on from the day before where Stark and Boland had just taken time out of the game, they just showed England that they are much smarter. And, you look at that team yesterday, no Cummins, no Hazelwood, no Lyon. That team on paper is not nearly as strong as England would have been expecting, and they've been embarrassed.
Yeah, and you've got Travis Head, who's batting up the top, which means you've got Cameron Green at 5, and Travis Head getting out early as well. There was such an opening there, even on that night and on the second night, because I think Australia was still trailing by maybe 30, or maybe it could have been even just
when Josh English came to the crease, they were about 30 or 40 behind.
Yeah, and so when
he hit his quick 23, they were about level.
So if they'd caught Alex Carey off that first ball, and Michael Neser gets caught, Australia pretty much 8 down on second day with a lead of maybe about 25, which changes the dynamics of the game completely. So not only is that, but England caught poorly. Ben Duckett, I mean, look, I think he got 2 really good balls during the Test match, but his fielding was atrocious. And that's the other thing. I mean, we're talking about, I'm saying Alex Carey should be man of the match for his glove work. What about the England catching? It was just shocking. I mean, Jamie Smith has put down a regulation catch for Travis Head. Ben Duckett, he seems to be in Gaga land, and that's why I'm so disappointed, because you're right. Look, Australia, I don't think they've been supreme, but England given that this is the opportunity they were looking for. I know McCullum says, let's run towards danger. That's his analogy. But or if there's a fire, run towards it. But it seems like they're just running towards the fire without even having a hose in their hand. They're just jumping into it. Like, you can't just run. You got to have some solution. They just don't have any.
Absolutely. And yesterday it was such an exhilarating end to the test match. There'd been that few hours where Jackson Stokes had just bunted the bowling, and then it all happened so quickly. Smith takes a great catch. It slipped. Then he takes another one at mid-wicket. Carey takes the beautiful catch off Ben Stokes. And then to finish it off, you had that heartwarming moment where the aging veteran, Michael Neser, 35 years old, might never play another test match on his home soil, gets the last wicket, and he gets to go off, lead the team off. I mean, it was beautiful scenes. And then we had that fireworks at the end where Jofra and Smith were going at it. Jofra came off as a complete goose because his team's getting absolutely smashed here, and he's saving his fast bowling for a waste of time. But Smith hitting, 23 off 9 deliveries, a deep, huge 6 over square leg off Atkinson to win the test match. I mean, it was an exhilarating finish for an Australia, and they deserved every accolade for it.
Well, clearly, Jofra Archer was frustrated. He seems like a guy, every time he beats the bat, and you can tell with his body language, there's frustration there. And he let the frustration out yesterday. Now, my issue is, and Ben Stokes knows this team, Brendan McCullum knows this team. I just want to go back to the English summer. First 2 test matches against India, it was just nice and pleasant. And then there was that exchange on, I think it was day 2 or day 3, when, Indian Shubman Gill attacked Zach Crawley for pulling away numerous times because they didn't want to they didn't want India to bowl an extra over at stumps. And it sort of flared up the series. Then it carried on. And then, Stokes saw that. And I think McCullum addressed the team and said something within the lines of, well, there's 2 guys out there and they've been attacked by 11. Let's not have that happen. And it sort of, next morning when England won the test match, there was a bit of chatter. Archer came out, gave a bit of lip. Stokes came out, a bit of lip. And it almost felt like that's what England needed to kickstart that series against India. They went on to win. They drew in Manchester, but, they still had that bit of... Why is it... So if that kind of, going back and forth with the sledging actually gets the better out of the team, why wouldn't you do it from test match number 1? That's what I'm trying to say. It happened with England, the Johnny Bairstow incident. It triggered something. So why are you trying to play the game in a nice, pleasant way
when it actually matters?
When it actually matters. Yeah, I don't understand it. If it gets the best out of the team, go it. I mean, Steve Waugh was a master at it. I mean, just because New Zealand wasn't going to sledge, didn't mean Steve Waugh's team did come out and sledge. They loved it. Brad Haddon, master at it. He wanted to say a few words. Yes, sometimes it didn't work, but I know. And this Australian team is not big on sledging under Pat Cummins. That's fine. But if it's getting the best out of your players, if they're getting emotionally riled up and that brings the best out of them, like someone like a Virat Kohli does, then why aren't you doing it from test match number 1? And we saw that with Archer yesterday, that if you rile him up, he'll bowl at 140, 150 clicks consistently. Let him get smashed, but mate, that might bring that best out of him. And if it brings out the best of Ben Stokes, I'm just disappointed. If that's the way England want to play, why haven't they done it from ball number 1 in Perth?
Yeah, and this team looks just poorly prepared. Baz McCullum hasn't done his job. The team looks short of a gallop, clueless, and you're right. They just haven't looked in the series. They've been blown away, and it's been all Australia so far. And, England just look... They should have gone and played that pink ball game. I know people say it's in Canberra, but...
Look,
At least playing in a game situation will help you fielding at night. It will help you
No,
bowling
but
for
okay,
pink ball.
these tour matches are planned way in advance. The MOU and so forth is done, good year before England come out here. Now, was it Jamie Smith and a couple of the other guys had never faced a pink ball in their whole life, right? And look, I understand not going to Canberra. I really do, because Canberra is a docile pitch. They were playing against bowlers who are just a little
It
bit
would have
better
helped
than.
their fielding, like, even just
Well,
those drop catches. Maybe
well,
they're
well,
out there in the field at night. They get used to picking the
Well,
ball up a bit.
they did that at the Gabba anyway. Like they fielded under lights at the Gabba. But my thing is, it's not about the batting and the fielding as such. It's the bowler's length, right? And there is this whole conception, and I still saw it at Shield Cricket yesterday. Put a cone down and let's hit that cone. But the length you bowl to Travis Head is not same as Jake Weatherald. It is not same as Marnus Labuschagne. The lines you bowl to Marnus are not same as Steve Smith. You got to learn on the job. You got to be able to adjust that. And it's I see it in modern day coaching as well, where you stick a cone. Oh yeah, go for the cone. Yeah, but that's not going to work all the time. It doesn't work for it. It's got to be. You got to be able to change your game on the go, and that only comes from match practice. It doesn't come from in the nets. And
Absolutely.
I think the bowlers have to be blamed. And this is where I think they've. You look at India. India didn't prepare much for the test series. But what India did do is they had an open session at the Wacker. The Wacker did have bounce. It did have carry. They did have, different kinds of games. They go into situations. India in the past.
They've got Bumrah. They've got Bumrah.
Yeah, and the other thing also, and this is what India did in South Africa 3 years ago, they said, we want ownership of the pitch, where they said, okay, well, today, water the hell out of the pitch, and then let's make it damp, and we want to bat on this. Next day, they'll say, wait, I don't want any water on it, right? Dry it out, bake it out, let the cracks open, and we want to bat on it. That's what their preparation was for 4 days. So, yes, it's okay not to have a game, but then you should take ownership by having certain conditions that you're going to experience in a test match replicated in lead up. And that's what England haven't done.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back with more. You're listening to the Cricket Unfiltered podcast. I'm Manners. I'm here with Gav Joshi. So for Australia, I really like the look of this new look batting lineup. I think Head and Weatherald complement each other nicely at the top of the order. They were very aggressive, putting on 77, following on from their 75 in the first test. I think they look a really good punchy combination, much like Langer and Hayden, and then it allows Labuschagne and Smith to take their time when they come in. And then you had Inglis coming in at 7 in this test match. I mean, what did you think of that batting lineup?
The big question mark is someone for Cameron Green. I actually think Cameron Green bats better when he doesn't have much responsibility, or he's given the task to bat with the tail, where you got to up the ante a little bit. I think he gets too focused on technique, and he's got to play the right, just because he's batting sort of at number 5. He's got to score 80 of 40 of 80 balls. Well, if there's a chance to score 80 of 80, then go for it, Cameron Green.
He went too far though in this innings. I mean, backing
he
away,
did,
getting bowled. I mean, he lost his rag.
I would love to see maybe if in the next game, if Kawaj is left out and his career is over, I'd like to see even Inglis bat at number 5. If you want to continue him at 6, and maybe tell Cameron Green, you know what, go and bat number 7, get some runs under your belt, become a flamboyant cricketer. Like, what do we expect of Mr. Marsh? We expect him to go at the bowling. Cameron Green can tear a bowling lineup apart. He doesn't. I think sometimes he's just been overly cautious. I think he just needs to be given freedom. I wouldn't mind seeing him at number 6 or number 7 and just go, that's all right. Well, after that comes Mitchell Starc and Cummins. You need to play a few shots, mate. And I think he's got all the shots. I know backing away wasn't the right option the other day, but just be a little bit sensitive. I think he's just, there's a sort of expectation you're going to be a number 4 in the future. where you're going to have to score, 10 test hundreds, where you're going to build an innings, bat with the middle order, bat with the tail. Right now at 26, until Steve Smith and Marnus and Travis Head are around, mate, be expansive and then get you almost a bit of a role what Harry Brooks been given. Similarly, give it to Cameron Green. I want him to be a little bit more expansive in a way where his mindset, let him play some shots rather than being overcautious.
I kind of disagree with that. I think he's a very much a conventional batter. And I think part of his problem is he's been moved around so much. He's had so much pressure on him.
Yep.
I mean, he's batted at 6, 5, 4, 3. He's bowling. He's not bowling. I think now that he's bowling, that 4 or 5 spot is a good spot for him so he can have a bit of a break. But just on, potential versus actually realizing it, I mean, he's had plenty of experience now. He needs to start delivering that. He got bailed out by Stark in the bottom order. But, that 45 should have been a lot more than it was, and he gave his wicket away. He should have been helping Australia get a big lead. I mean, you look at Bo Webster, you could make an argument that maybe Bo Webster could be picked ahead of Cameron Green just purely as an all-rounder on performances recently. So I don't think they'll do that. I think they, obviously rate Green highly, and he's a great cricketer, but it's up to him now to turn that potential into actually performances in these big series. And I like him at 5. I think they've got to pick a spot for him and leave him there and stop moving him around. I sort of disagree with you. I think 7's too low for him. I think he likes to take his time early. And I think he just lost his head against Bryden Cast. I mean, he backed away so early. He's got
massive issues against the short ball. He does. The way he plays it as well. I think Ricky Ponting nailed it on air, and he said, he's got this. He goes back and then it doesn't really come forward. Yeah, he's got a few technical issues, and look, I would like to just I get where you're coming from. Maybe give him 5, but just change his mindset a little. Yeah, let him start taking his time. But I feel like his role is far too defined. Let him just if one day he needs to get 12 of 16 balls, 12 of 60 balls, that's fine. If the other day, if he scores 80 of 40 balls, that's also fine. It just feels like he's been given no start. I think he just needs. There's too much expectation for him to play a certain way.
Yeah, I agree. And also Inglis. I like Inglis at 7 because he's the sort of player that could just spank a tired attack. I mean, we've seen it in white ball cricket. He's like that Gilchrist at 7. He's not keeping in this game. But so just on the next test, I think maybe Cummins comes back probably for Doggett. And then it becomes, do they bring Lyon back? And then sort of you're looking at Nisa or Boland missing out. And, there's some speculation. Okay, so you want Boland for the Boxing Day test. Maybe he rests in Adelaide. You play Nisa, Cummins, Stark with Lyon, and then Boland comes in for Nisa for the next test.
Yeah, I reckon they'll go Lyon. I mean, given what George Bailey said, the Nathan Lyon thing will definitely be part of the Adelaide. So Lyon comes in, I think, for Nisa, Cummins for Doggett. And
play their best
what about Usman?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I don't think he comes back in. I just don't think he can take a step backwards. England would be so happy to see his 40-year-old body walking out there, leaving balls outside off stump. Khawaja's career is done. The Australian selectors need to make the tough call. Steve Waugh told them before the summer they need to do it. This new look batting lineup looks so dynamic. It put the pressure right back on England. They scored quickly. I mean, Australia was going at over 5 runs and over for most of their innings until Stark and Boland got together. So they pasted England. So where does Khawaja fit in? Nowhere.
I think a Sydney grade cricket team would have been going at 6 and over against the way England bowled on that day too. But I agree. I think they're going to move past him. It's just how he needs to be told. When's Australia's next Test match after the Ashes, Menace?
God, I can't remember. Don't they tour? You put me on. I'll look it up for the next show. But
yeah, because I'm also thinking. I know Nathan Lyon's got he's ambitious to go to India and maybe even the next Ashes, but he's got to bowl sometimes, Menas. I mean, given the pitches that we've had, look, if Australian bowlers are fresh, when does Nathan Lyon bowl? If he doesn't bowl, then would he be ready for those series? So I'm also started to think, do we give someone, whether that's Rockacholi, Murphy, Kuhnemann? Yeah, I'm starting to think along those lines. I mean, they won't do it right now because but I mean, Nathan Lyon needs a good ball. I think in Adelaide, he really needs a long ball because he just hasn't done it for a long time. And I think if you don't do it and age catching up, it might be a big issue going forward. But I think Kabaja's done. I think they'll play with that lineup. I think Alex Carey, they also moved him up to 6. I've heard because they wanted a left-hander in there, just like Travis Head was. Otherwise, you just have constant sort of Marnus, Smith, Green, Inglis, and so that's why Alex Carey sort of came in the middle. But yeah, look, I mean, if anything, I think Australia's just going to get better. I mean, Cummins is a massive in, like if he plays in Adelaide, and I think Cummins will play in Adelaide, probably rest up, and given what he said for Melbourne, and then he'll play the Sydney Test. In case Australia do need him, if a miracle happens and England win the next 2, then at least Cummins is back for that Test match in Sydney if need be.
Yeah, absolutely. Australia getting better. And just before we wrap this up on England, I think they're careering towards, 4 or 5-0 smashing. You look at Stuart Broad, it's interesting, he's been sticking the boot into England and getting very frustrated. But, he came here and got spanked on a number of tours. So it was no different when he was here, although they did win once. But, for Stokes to have a go at his team for, not being strong enough, inferring they were weak, saying, you can't be a weak man in Australia. And for Brendan McCullum to saying we overtrained ahead of this second Test match. I mean, I can see the English media, the English ex-play turning on the team. It looks like the team is turning on each other. And this has all the hallmarks of being an absolute disaster. You know how we were joking at the beginning of the summer that Brendan McCullum might be interning on the podcast? It's looking more and more likely every day.
Yeah, like I get what McCullum was probably trying to say, that, we probably had 5 intense days of practice, and that can burn you. And let's not, if we're trialing for these podcast minutes, and imagine sitting here for 3 hours and just making notes to make sure we're perfect. By the time we start doing the podcast, it probably has burnt us out. So I get where he's coming from.
What are you talking about? I spent hours preparing for every show.
Yeah, that's why you were sleeping about 10 minutes leading into this podcast.
Yes.
And preparing in your deep sleep. But
exactly.
No, I get what he was trying to say. He probably didn't say it the right way. Like, we probably over-prepared. That doesn't sound very good. But or maybe he could have said, maybe we could have focused on out of the 5 days, could have focused a little bit more on a different skill. Maybe it could have been catching under pink ball, whatever it was. I think he got his words wrong, and they are going to turn on him. But Australia too good, and it's what's disappointing for England. I just to finish on this note, is the fact that Australia's been there for the taking for both the Test matches, even in Brisbane. I mean, Joe Root got 100. You shouldn't have got 320, and 325 came about because Archer and Joe Root England should have been rolled for 260. That's pathetic. You should have got 400. Bad run out. Will Jacks, terrible shot in the first innings. I just can't. But Harry Brook, he's the big culprit. If he doesn't change his mindset, I mean, it doesn't happen. And sometimes we're outsiders. We shouldn't say this, but I mean, the sport has changed. But geez, you would almost be tempted to just. If he plays another couple of those in Adelaide, you just sit down in Melbourne, just sit out, like, because you're a natural talent. But until
they don't do that in the McCullum regime. They back them.
And I think some of the English journalists have nailed it. They said the problem with this team is you can't get dropped. You can't get. How could you come to Australia? Can you remember an international team who's coming here in the last 30, 40 years who've never brought up a backup opener? So for a 5-test series.
It's crazy.
So
Absolutely
basically,
crazy.
Zach Crawley and Duckett can just get pairs for the next 3 games, both of them, and nothing will happen because they've got no replacement.
Yeah, it's wild. All right, Gav. Well, thanks for joining me to wrap up the second test. Australia go 2-0 up in the Ashes. England in complete disarray. Australia a cock-a-hoop. It has been a joy to watch them play. Some signature performances, some dreamlike performances, and well done to this Australian side. I've got a quick can't let it go, which is the end of the WBBL. It was a thrilling finish with the Sixers taking on the Strikers for a spot in the finals. The Sixers basically, if they won, they would finish second spot. If they lost, the Strikers would leapfrog them into the finals. So it was do or die for both teams. And in the end, the Sixers won off the last ball by 1 run at North Sydney Oval yesterday. A thrilling finish. The Sixers kept their head. Gardner took a return throw and then threw it to Healy, who took the bails off to win by 1 run. Sophie Eccleston, the English player, was at the crease and couldn't get there for the second. So the Sixers now into the finals. The Hurricanes are hosting the grand final this weekend, with the Sixers hosting the Challenger on Thursday at North Sydney Oval, and the Stars and Scorchers playing off on Tuesday to play the Sixers. So the WBBL climax is here this week. So there's no Ashes till next week, but the WBBL is here to keep your cricket soul soothed. Gav, thanks for joining me, and we'll catch up soon.
Definitely. I think because the Ashes will be done and dusted by Adelaide, I reckon all the Australian team should just pull out of the Ashes, play Jai Richardson's and Sam Constas, and let the others play in the Big Bash. There's this thought.
Oh, yeah, we could even just we don't even let Sam Constas and Jai Richardson play. Like all the players that, like the CA11, like anyone not contracted for a Big Bash club, just roll them out there for the Boxing Day
the
test.
Ashes.
Yeah.
How about that?
I like it. That's all the English deserve. That's all they deserve. Thanks, everybody.